Happiness is not a part of. It's not necessary for marriage to work.
It should not be the foundation.
It can't
And
be the foundation because happiness don't last forever. It
duty
comes
and
and it goes.
obligation should be the foundation, more important than happiness in your marriage.
Yeah, duty, responsibility, obligation. Right? Now we have children. That supersedes how you feel about it, how I feel about it. Because we have an obligation and responsibility to them. God gave us, blessed us with souls to bring up into the world, to teach, to guide, to prepare uh, them to serve Him so that they can ultimately get to the kingdom of heaven. And I'm going to abandon that because you don't make me happy, because you get on my nerves, because whatever the case is. That's going to trump that obligation and responsibility, that
I
duty that I
love
have
that
to these children,
perspective. I
right?
love that perspective because that's the greater perspective. We're
It's,
raising up souls for Christ, souls
yes,
for the Most High to be vessels for Him to use to further His kingdom.
because I always say this: if let's just assume me and you got married, we're gonna be married for the rest of our life. So let's just assume we're gonna live 70 years, right?
Okay.
Let's assume we're gonna be married 40 years. 40 years, and then out of 40 years, we go through like a 2-year rut, a 3-year rut, where things are just not good. I don't like you, you don't like me. I get on your nerves, you get on my nerves. I can't stand looking at you. Don't want to be around you. For that, and 3 years is a long time to live like that.
Yeah, it
But
is.
what's 3 years out of 40 years?
It's true.
You know what I'm saying? When you look at the whole thing, you might have a year, so you might have a long stint where things are just not good, but in the grand scheme, it's a small part of the full relationship.
But at that time, you don't know if it's going to be a small part of the relationship or not. To
Yeah,
know
it's
that
the
somebody
icing.
is thinking about me
I mean, it's
and,
like having a cake with icing and a cake without icing, right? A
yeah.
pound cake is great. You know what I'm saying? You put a little glaze on it, it's better. You put icing on it, it's even sweeter.
Pound cake is in a whole nother
What I'm
category.
saying
It's
is
my
cake, period. You can eat
favorite.
cake without the icing.
I
You know what I'm
know.
saying? So, what's life without cake opposed to what's life without icing? You know what I'm saying? If you had to pick between the cake and the icing, which one would you pick? So you can get a cake, because some people say, I don't want the cake without the icing. Some people say, I'll take the cake and I'll make the icing.
Okay.
You see, and I think that's the difference in the approach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you take a relationship and you grow it and you build it into something
Mm-hmm.
that's enjoyable. You
Mm-hmm.
two people take time to learn each other, but I
Mm-hmm.
just don't feel like it's my responsibility to make you happy.
Okay.
I
Like
think it's your
my
responsibility.
happiness should not depend on
Yes.
your actions.
Now I think as a husband, part of my desire is to make you happy.
Right.
Part of it, right? But that's not my purpose. That's not my duty, my
Right.
obligation.
Right. Right.
And that's one thing you don't really hear a lot of in relationships when people today talk about duty, obligation, responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
That's negated. That's irrelevant. People don't really care about that.
Mm-hmm.
They just care about, are you gonna make me happy? I'm not
Mm-hmm.
happy with this person. Well, you're not gonna be happy. Nobody's happy all the time. Nobody is gonna be happy with everything all the time. It's like that's
Mm-hmm.
just asinine to even try to make that a part of your daily life. And I think a lot of people
To
crash and burn pursuing happiness.
you think it shouldn't be a happiness shouldn't you shouldn't aspire to make happiness a part of your daily life or happiness with your spouse?
No, happiness is part of your daily life. You
I think
shouldn't
you
be you shouldn't be
should.
chasing happiness.
I mean, but I think you should try to find something every day to make you happy, even if you're in a difficult situation. Like,
That's why you're a woman.
okay,
That's not why
well,
you're a woman, but
so, uh, okay, in the sense that even as you're going through a rough patch in your life.
right.
Well, I guess I think about it like mindset and your perspective. Like, what's your focus on? Are you going to focus on the negative, or are you going to focus on the positive?
That's not
So,
happiness though. That's
but
not
I'm saying
conflate the two.
focus on something that makes you happy,
No, see,
or
because now I think we're conflating and interchanging two. So focus on positivity. Focus on things that are productive. Focus on things that benefit you, that help you, are not the same thing as things that make you happy. right? They can be, but not necessarily are. Because people every day ruin their lives in pursuit of happiness, chasing happiness. You
Okay.
know, hey, people that do drugs, people that smoke crack, methamphetamines, what's the new one now? Fentanyl, all that stuff. That make them happy. Very short period of time, it takes them to a degree of happiness that most of us probably won't experience on a regular basis. And they spend their life chasing their happiness. We call it a high, but it's a happiness. It makes them feel so good. It's so enjoyable. So if you want to be happy, go smoke drugs all the time. You can be happy happier than you've ever been. Teeth will fall out. Nobody's gonna respect you. Nobody's gonna want to be around you. You're probably gonna steal and hurt and let down a lot of people, but you'll be happy. So like I just don't think you should pursue happiness. And let's take it back to the relationship of marriage, right? Why would you leave your spouse because they're not making you happy? Because you're not happy in a relationship. You're not. I saw a video, and this I just thought about this. I saw this video of this woman. She said she was in a grocery store somewhere, and some guy approached her and said, hey, how you doing? I think you attractive. I would like to, She said, I'm thinking, but I'm married. He said, well, are you happily married? She said, no. He said, well, then, she said, well, no, I'm not giving you my number. Like, I just told you I'm married. Just because I'm not happily married don't mean I'm going to fornicate or commit adultery with you. I'm staying with my husband. Like, she said, and I was being, at the moment, I wasn't happy with him. We wasn't in a good space. But I'm not going to not be with my husband or leave my husband because I'm not happy at the moment, because that's life. You have ups and downs. That's relationships. That's marriages. You have ups and downs. You're not always going to be happily married. Sometimes you're angrily married. It's okay. That's normal. That's life.
Yeah.
Right? Through thickness and thin, better or poor, richer or poor, better, better or worse, whatever. That's part of life.
Yeah.
Happiness is not a part of. It's not necessary for marriage to work.
It should not be the foundation.
It can't be the foundation because happiness don't last forever. It
Duty
comes
and
and it goes.
obligation should be a foundation more important than happiness in your marriage.
Yeah, duty, responsibility, obligation. Right? Now we have children. That supersedes how you feel about it, how I feel about it. Because we have an obligation and responsibility to them. God gave us, blessed us with souls to bring up into the world, to teach, to guide, to prepare them to serve Him so that they can ultimately get to the kingdom of heaven. And I'm going to abandon that because you don't make me happy, because you get on my nerves, because whatever the case is. That's going to trump that obligation and responsibility, that duty that I have to these children. Right?
I love that perspective because that's the greater perspective. We're raising up souls for Christ.
Yes.
Souls for the Most High, to be vessels for Him to use to further His kingdom.
Why did you think the Most High gave us children?
So that's a greater mission than
my happiness. Or quote unquote love. I'm not in love. I had a friend, and you know him. I'm not gonna say his name, but you know who you is. And I hope I hope you hear what I'm saying in this situation. But me and him talk, and he was talking about, going through a divorce, and I'm like, bro, why? That's stupid. Man, I'm just not happy, or we not in love. The love just ain't there. Something to that degree said. I said, bro, you sound stupid. Y'all 5 years in, whatever, 6 years in, y'all got 2 children. You talking about a divorce? That's stupid. He couldn't see it at the time. He was, I guess he didn't know how he felt about the situation. I don't know. It wasn't there for him, right? He's like, he didn't have it for his wife, and I think it was mutual. You know what I'm saying? And eventually they ended up parting ways. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think to this day he regrets it. Because even if you don't necessarily have the same feelings for this woman, even if you don't care, but you're still looking at your children leave and go back there, and then she got to watch her children leave and go to your house, and it's a weird dynamic. It's just unnatural for children not to live in the house with both their parents. It's just unnatural for children to have another man that they have to share their time with their father. They got to split between their mom's new spouse and their father. It's just unnatural, man. So this idea that you have to have this feeling in order to be with somebody. No, you don't. What happened to commitment? What happened to obligation? Like, we have no problem committing to a job. Hate our job. Don't want to go to our job. Don't. But you're committed to it. You agreed to do it. You're gonna do it, and it's reward benefit. I mean, what's this? Not reward benefit, but it's give and take. You know,
Yeah.
I give you this, I get that.
Mm,
So in this marriage between you and I, let's get personal, right?
can I say something?
Yeah.
But then some people feel like they're not able to take equally as what they're giving. They give in a marriage, but the other person is not giving.
And it go through the same thing on the job. You feel like you're not getting what you're worth on the job. So what do? You go to your supervisor, you have a conversation, right? But at the same time, you didn't make a commitment to this job for life.
Yeah.
So with a marriage, this is a lifelong commitment that you ask God to come into and sanction and sanctify, and you've made a covenant with this person and God for life.
But I think most people going in, well, I don't say most, but a lot of people going into marriage, they don't view it like that. They don't view it as they don't take it seriously as a lifetime commitment.
That's a big part of
So
it.
that's,
But back to your point, so when you're in a marriage and you don't feel like the whatever it is being reciprocated, right? The effort, the feeling, the appreciation, whatever it is that you feel like you're giving that's not being reciprocated, what do you do? You leave, or do you sit down with the person that you're connected to, that you've agreed to be with for the rest of your life, and you sit down and you talk about it and you figure it out and you work it out? Because because I always say this: if let's just assume me and you got married, we're gonna be married for the rest of our life. So let's just assume we're gonna live 70 years, right?
okay.
We've been married since I was 30, so that's 40 years of marriage,
Okay.
right? Since 29, 30. When we got married, I was 29, 30, something like that, right?
Hmm.
So let's assume we're gonna be married 40 years. 40 years, and then out of 40 years, we go to in the midst of that 40-year span, we go through like a 2-year rut, a 3-year rut, where things are just not good. I don't like you, you don't like me. I get on your nerves, you get on my nerves. I can't stand looking at you. Don't want to be around you. For that, and 3 years is a long time to live like that.
Yeah, it
But
is.
what's 3 years out of 40 years?
It's true.
You know what I'm saying? When you look at the whole thing, you might have a year. You know, so you might have a long stint where things are just not good. But in the grand scheme, it's a small part of the full relationship.
But at that time, you don't know if it's gonna be a small part of the relationship or not.
You
You
do
don't.
know. You make a choice.
I'm just saying, you don't know if
No, you
your
don't know how long
spouse
it's
is.
gonna last. You don't know if it's gonna
Yeah.
be 1 minute, 1 hour, or 10 years. You don't know how long it's gonna be like
Yes.
this.
And then so it's like, I guess people feel like they got to make a choice. Am I gonna spend 10 years like this, 20 years like this, or am I
But
gonna bail out now and
but
go
here's
live a better life?
here's the thing.
Cause can't
Ain't
get
nothing
time
new under
back.
the sun. People haven't changed that much. So grandma went through that. Grandma and grandpa went through that. Great grandma and great grandpa went through that. How did they? How? Amazing. How did they get through that?
Well, the thing is, a lot of people
They
didn't have
made a
options
choice.
back then. Okay,
No,
they
they
had
made a
choice
choice.
and they didn't have options.
They had options. They didn't have the same option, but they had options.
Well, we
Nobody
have a
was
lot
stuck
more
in a marriage.
options.
Everybody has the option to leave. They had it back then, but they were more, I think, more true to their commitment. They were more determined to stay.
Hmm.
You know, this period, like men haven't changed that much. Men doing the same thing they always did. So women have been dealing with men's nature, men infidelity, and men doing what men do as long as they've been with men. So why all of a sudden divorce now? Why is everything in a relationship a reason to divorce or an excuse? I ain't gonna say reason, an excuse to divorce.
Mm.
Where we talk about being a strong woman. The strong woman was a woman who could endure through all that and stay and make it work. And when they 70, 80 years old and you see this beautiful relationship, you don't even know what they went through in 1948. You don't know what happened in 63. You don't know the story when grandma had to go and get grandpa out this gambling shack drunk passed out when he was in his
Mm-hmm.
30s. And she had to endure through all that. While this man while he went through this stage where he was immature and making bad decisions. And she stuck with him because she made an agreement to be with this man. And she was his backbone. And when he was at his lowest, she was there to carry him and pick him up. And that's why this man, and when he snapped out of it, that's why he devoted to this woman to this day. That's why he'll die for this woman to this day, because she was there for him. She didn't leave him when he was down, because the person don't need you when they doing good. They need you when they doing bad.
Yeah.
If I marry you and you leave me when I'm in my worst, then what do I need you for? What you marry me for?